You've ventured into things that I had, I've never done, like
Okay.
not even close. Like, I mean, you've written a book, got an endorsement from Les Brown. Hello. Like, wow. I mean, that's serious, you
Yeah,
know?
it was definitely a blessing. My book actually became an Amazon bestseller in 7 hours from my pre-release, which was
In 7 hours.
yes, in seven
Wow.
hours.
Wow.
My
And,
pre-release.
and it's called Fear of Failure. So can you tell us basically what the whole concept of that book is about?
Absolutely. It's called Fear of Failure, Fear of Not Trying. And it is about my struggles, going through a divorce, raising kids on my own, the music industries, the ups and downs, the depression, all of the different things, the insecurities and things that you feel. Most of it is self-sabotaging your own self, and finally overcoming that and saying, you know what, I'm not going to let the opinion of other people determine who I am, because I know who I am, and I'm just going to go for it. And I finally, stepped out there and just went for it. And once I did, it was like everything just opened up. I always wanted to write a book, but I was scared to write a book. And I think it's also, how like when somebody's talking to you and you might hear them say it, stop smoking, but until you're ready to stop smoking, you're not going to stop. So I heard people say you should tell your story, but fear crept in. Well, who's going to want to listen to me? Who's going to support me? I'm not a mega star. All these things crept in my mind. And I was performing at this yacht party, and this guy, he was speaking, and he was like, tell your story. And for whatever reason, it resonated that day. And then the next day I had to go to Hawaii, and I was in Hawaii for a few days, on tour. And we ended up having a storm. So we stayed for an additional 5 days. Well, in 4 days, I wrote the book. I stayed in my room, I locked in, and I wrote it. And
Holy
then,
smokes.
Wow.
yeah, it
Wow.
was definitely cool. And I mean, but I was focused, you know what I mean? I had nothing but time on my hands. I had already performed, so I was focused. So, I went in there and I wrote it. And then when I came back home, of course, I had to figure out, the cover and, the editing and all that type of stuff. But the meat and potatoes was done. And it got endorsed by a princess and an ambassador. And then it got featured on, they endorsed the book, and then they did my forwards and everything. And then it got put, when I finally released it, CBS, NBC, Fox, ABC, everybody started doing all these stories on me. And then Les endorsed it. And I was like, holy cow,
Because like that's fascinating. And the thing too is that you were talking about when you're writing something and that whole creative process. It's like what happens, like if you're like me and a lot of people, is that if there's no deadline, it stays half finished. You went to that word, tell your story. It sparked, after all those people telling you all that stuff, it sparked, went, I've got to do this. You sat down, here's my opportunity. I'm stuck in Hawaii. What a nice place to be stuck in. But
Right.
I mean, but you're in your room, and now the thing is, you're educated too, so you're probably a really good typer.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so that helps, because you're a graduate, like a university graduate in marketing, wasn't it?
Actually, yeah. I graduated top of my class, magna cum laude, the first Black president for the Golden Key High Honor International Society.
Wow.
Marketing and
Wow.
yes.
Well, Sassy, you're no slouch. Wow, that's pretty impressive.
A degree. I also have a degree in computer information systems.
Really?
I read about
Oh my
that. Yes,
goodness.
you've got everything sort of covered. All your ducks are in a row, as they say. But I was going to go down that a little bit more of that rabbit hole. The thing is that when they say, like I've always said, give me a deadline and I'll reach it. If you don't give me a deadline, it'll stay unfinished forever. But and then people say, well, I was just reading something recently, maybe you've heard it too, where somebody said it's not the deadline that makes you reach your goal. It's the fact that all those ideas have been swimming back there the entire time anyway. So it's not like you're coming up with this stuff immediately. It's already been in your brain. It's just now you've set a time clock and you go and you finish it. But it's already, all that stuff has been stored. You've been thinking about it the entire time, right? What were you going to say, Scott?
So I got a question for you about it. When you wrote your book, did you already have it framed in your head that you kind of how you want, or did it just literally go, just came out of you.
It just came out of me. And that was the thing that was the hardest part, because like I said, I've always wanted to write a book, but I didn't know how to start. So I just started, and I started writing in my phone, typing it up in my phone. And then I'll say, okay, well, let me add this at the beginning. No, let me push this down. And that's just kind of how it started forming. Biggest thing is starting. You don't have to know where you're going to start. You just got to start. And then it just starts to work for you,
A friend of mine developed prostate cancer a few years back, and he was sitting there convalescing at home and went, I'm going to write a novel. And he wrote a novel, and it's like, so he was sending me, like, as he was going through, and I'm going, this is brilliant. Like, I can't believe a guy who's never written anything before has come up with this incredible fiction. That's just a wonderful story. But of course, now the reason I bring that up is that he wrote a fiction piece. So of course it went to the editors back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, how much of that happened with your story? Because your story was more autobiographical.
So, I mean, it had to get edited, but not to the point where somebody was saying, well, I don't think you should put this. It was more of grammatical editing and stuff like that to make sure that it was, properly worded right, and spellings and stuff like that. It wasn't a lot of challenging, sometimes they would say, well, you sure you want to put this part, but it wasn't too much of that.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Check out our other vignettes and full episodes from a wide variety of guests for more great content. Please like, share, and subscribe, and become a member at SocialNRGPresents.com to access premium content and earn valuable energy points just for watching.